Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Thank you for joining us. We are virtual only, based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact me. We do the thought behind the thought, the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence as we bounce through Revelation and these end times. We solve little pieces. This is going to be more the seals leading up to Revelation 13, which is the beast system and 666 and things like that. The world ahead of 2026. Okay, this is from The Economist magazine. This is a bizarre one. So this is from 2011. I believe that the third seal opened in 2012. There was a prophecy that I happened to hear, and everything occurred exactly as the man prophesied. And then another man came to me months later and said, "Do you want to know the meaning behind these things?" And it was all based on 1 Kings 12, which you can read for yourself, which has to do with the two kings, Jeroboam, Rehoboam, and Jeroboam setting up the northern kingdom, then showing the division. Our nation is divided. You can't disagree with that, but whether or not the third seal is open, I understand it. Okay, so let's discuss these things as if they're the philosophy of eschatology. What's the thought behind the thought? We try to give you the Bible, real prophecy, and the news. So let's look at 2012 again from The Economist magazine and the Satan, the seven deadly sins, the demons flying on gliders. And Jews too, world leaders, chaos and bloodshed. I'm saying they're sowing the seeds of chaos. That's what you see in 2012. And obviously, the disunity has increased since that time. Pause if you want to on any of these slides because they're so intriguing to view. So this is 2012, people. Okay, January 1988. The Economist magazine said, "Get ready for a world currency." Well, that didn't exactly happen, but we're getting closer, obviously. They came back and talked about Europe's economy, and that was basically the global, but also a European type crypto type currency. Okay, so that was 1988, and then 2014. Europe's economy is the dead bird again. So interesting. They've been prescient in many ways. Here's 2017. All of these, are they called tarot cards? I can't remember what they're called. I can't stand stuff like this. But anyway, that's what they would believe in. They're The Economist magazine. Planet Trump, things like that, as Trump is coming into office. The Tower, Judgment, the World, the Hermit, Death, the Magician, Wheel of Fortune, the Star. Interesting. 2018. I don't know what that means, but pause if you want to and dig through it. Then in 2019, were they predicting the fourth horseman? Especially late in 2019, that would have come out in probably December-ish, okay, late November. Is he riding as of now? So Chad Jones, professor of economics in Stanford University, talks about the consequences of global population decline. He's saying in the 5 generations, we could be down to 250 million people. It's that bad. We are not even at 2.11 births per family. We're below that. Some regions like China, in their industrialized sections, they're down to zero point 0.2. It's that bad. But in most nations now, we're down to 1.1. And so we're talking about an empty planet. That is the fourth seal, people. That gets it going. Then the world in 2020, Trump, Brexit, things like that. The economists to destabilize good leaders. That's what they want to do. 2021, going to the casino and the one-armed bandit. 2022, there you go. Xi and Biden, Biden and Putin on 2023, and Georgia Meloni and Zelensky and other things like that. Interesting covers. 2024, obviously they're talking about nuclear wars, other things like that, attaching to the brain, AI, Xi, Biden, other Zelensky, of course. And it's ominous. It is. That's 2024. Once again, pause if you want to view these things. There's 2025, the ominous colors, and the nukes again, and all of the globalists versus the nationalists. Civil war seems to be predicted here. Pause if you want. Here's some other slides from recently. The Economist talking about the rise of the superhuman. Yep, they're predicting that. And now, the world ahead 2026. So you have a good feeling of what they've been doing all these years. Well, this one is odd. So according to my friend Johnny Yunho, drones, Android canine, robots, Phoenician sailors delivering an urn of some sort, 250th birthday of America, brainwired to game controller, leaders, Trump, Modi, China, Israel, others, barge with cannons, economic war, tanks, military tensions, Bezo rockets, melting ice, global warming, volatile stock markets, pharmakia, basically Matthew 24 and Revelation 4 horsemen. Okay? The Economist 2026, decoded from this angle, is trade and economy, supply chain split, AI automation, freedom versus control, biotech, data virus, militarization of space, US China tensions, biotech data virus, biodigital merge again, protest and civil pushback, okay? America, 250 years. Interesting. Crossroads of power, data, and ideology. This is somebody else's opinion on this. Very interesting. The globalists seem to be predicting that we'll be overthrown at some point in time, and it would be caused by anarchy. That's what I sense. So this is from Reagan in 1987. Keep voting Democrat. One day they will restrict your freedoms, restrict your history, and restrict your safety, all in the name of professional victims that don't understand the consequences of their ignorance. So I'm a conservative. I'm not necessarily a Republican anymore. Sometimes I'm a libertarian. It depends. First, when they tell us they could not define what a woman is, but men could get pregnant, then they tell you to defy military orders. That's the next slide after this. It's all gaslighting, people. This insidious form of psychological and emotional abuse in which an individual manipulates someone into questioning their own memory, perception, sanity. The primary goal of the abuser is to gain power and control over the victim by systematically eroding their sense of reality and self-trust. So who's doing that right now? These are 6 senators and representatives that are Democrats. They're seditious. They're 6. We know you are under enormous pressure, stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military, but that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath to protect and defend this Constitution. And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. That's gaslighting. No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. If you're a military person and you violate that, you will be kicked out of the army, dishonorably discharged. These people are preaching seditiousness. Okay? Salem Radio Network talks about it this way. Trump says Democrats' video messages to military is seditious behavior punishable by death. True. Okay? So if you want to, you can pause the article. I'm going to be reading on the right-hand side. Seditious behavior from traitors. Trump went on saying, lock them up. He called for lawmakers, these types of lawmakers, to be arrested, have trials, adding in a separate post that it was seditious behavior punishable by death. Trump also reposted more than a dozen comments from other accounts criticizing Democrats, including one that stated, hang them, George Washington Wood. Asked during a White House briefing on Thursday about the intent of Trump's messages, Carolyn Levitt gave this message. Perhaps it's punishable by law. She went on to say, defy the chain of command not to follow lawful orders is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. They should be held accountable, and that's what the president wants to see. Keep in mind, Republicans are always held accountable. Democrats are not. That's why I haven't voted Democrat since, oh goodness, what year was that? 78, something like that. Okay. Just because I've been watching this the whole way through. It's the hippies, it's the communists, they have infiltrated that party. Okay, on the left-hand side, this is Senator Elisa Slotkin from, I won't come up with a state right now, but I will eventually. I used to work for the CIA. Oh, she's a spook. I am formally trained in overthrowing governments, and that's what she's doing. Now I am a Democrat in Congress. My speech could invoke a rebellion. That's called sedition. My voters are low IQ to notice. Her background includes extensive national security experience, having served as a CIA Middle East analyst on 3 tours in Iraq, as well as holding positions at the White House and the Pentagon under both Republican and Democratic institutions. On the right-hand side, far right, trying to convince members of the U.S. military or other countries' armed forces to commit mutiny is one of the most serious offenses in military or federal Yeah, whatever. It falls under several overlapping statutes, and so the prime crime is 18 USC 2387 activities affecting armed forces, seditious conspiracy variant aimed at the military. They broke the law. So 'tis the season of treason. Donald J. Trump again, traitors that told the military to just obey my orders should be in jail right now, not roaming the fake news networks trying to explain that what they said was okay. It wasn't and never will be. It was sedition at the highest level, and sedition is a major crime. There could be no other interpretation. Once again, Democrats are never held accountable for anything. Helping the enemy used to be called treason. Now it's called being a Democrat. Okay. But this has been going on for years. Liz Cheney isn't a Democrat, but she should be, And then the other goofballs behind her there. Um, Democrat commits treason, cries when Trump calls for their execution. Mayorkas in the middle there, right middle. Should Mayorkas be arrested for treason for facilitating a foreign invasion into America? Who's doing this? It's really just Soros. George Soros is paying for this. And so his greatest gains, however, have been destabilizing currencies on the global market time and time again. When a nation is in a monetary crisis, Soros is there to give the currency the last nudge and then profits as it plummets. He bet against the Asian currencies in 1997 and the peso in 1994. He's made tons of money betting for failure. Okay, so Soros-owned politicians, what happens is that he buys the district attorneys and they throw people in jail that are good people, and they won't keep the people that are evil in jail. So they kill these cute little women. And constantly, it's sickening and twisted. But that's Soros for you. And you can see him, his son in this case, is friends with Pelosi and that horrible mayor of Indiana. I'm blanking on his name. Can't stand him. Clinton, of course, and oh goodness, and Obama, and yeah, blech. Ugh, you can pause it if you want to and look at him pictured with all of these people. They own all these people. Okay, so Christine Bracken over on the left-hand side says they committed seduction on video. They used a CIA tactic used to call chaos and instability into the ranks of government they want overthrown. They are WEF, World Economic Forum, operatives. All of the Democrats are WEF operatives. They're being paid by the WEF to destroy our country from within. Their ideology that they are shoving down our throats, it's straight out of the WEF's playbook. They are doing it to us when the government officials have done to the citizens of the UK, Australia, Canada, elsewhere, all of these places. These citizens of these countries no longer have freedom of speech. They're now implementing the digital ID. They would be doing it here, but we are behind the WEF schedule. Why? Because we elected Trump twice. The WEF has performed a partnership with the radical Islamists to help, so communists with Islamists, to help with the takeover, to cause chaos and culture conflicts. Connect the dots, people. They're all in front of you. And you can see Soros equals treason. The problem isn't who spends 48 years in the White House. The problem is who spends 30 to 40 years in Congress. They're correct on both sides. Gaslighting Democrats plus the media. Jennifer Ruth something, nice lady. I just want to point out that the thousands of service members who refused the illegal order from Joe Biden that forced them to get the jibby jabber, you can see it below the green, were fired without their benefits, and the Democrats were perfectly okay with that. So obviously they play sides. Okay, on the right-hand side, okay, maybe we lied about Biden's health and Russian collusion and the jibby jabber and Hunter's laptop and voter fraud and January 6th and Ukraine and Epstein and Hollywood and everything in between. But trust us when we tell you Trump is a threat to our democracy. That's the media. Okay? How to actually fix the system. Put them in jail. The U.S. has civilian laws and military laws. This was seditious, people, okay? It involves two or more people to overthrow the government by force. And so sedition occurs when a service member, in concert with others, creates revolt, violence, disturbance against lawful civil authority with intent to overthrow or destroy it. Okay, that's from Cornell EDU. Two horns, Marxists and Islamists unite. The sooner Americans admit to themselves that Democrats are communists or Islamists, the sooner we can begin repairing the damage they have done. They're doing it again. Because you didn't hang them the last time, because you've never done anything at all. They get away with murder every single time. Okay. Now, I'm stopping with the politicians because we have to move on to the preachers. They're no better. Okay. 2 articles from the Royce Report, and I'm citing Michael Baldea, who did a video this week, and he's the Hand of Help Ministries. Great guy. And so the reason why I'm citing him is because he was vomiting the whole way through his video, just like I do when I see this. So what is at stake is no less than the eternal destiny of my very soul, because this guy had affairs. Okay. Reformed Baptist author, pastor resigns ministry after admitting to adultery. And so this is from the Royce Report again, November 17th. So Samuel D. Renahan, and he's a pastor at Trinity Reformed Baptist Church in La Miranda, California. And so in Reformed circles, he is a contributor to Ligonier, which is R.C. Sproul's ministry, who's now deceased. And R.C. Sproul was tight with MacArthur, okay? So I have sinned in an exceedingly wicked way because I was caught. This past week it was discovered that I have committed adultery to my great shame. I did not bring it to light. Yeah, he's a friend of John MacArthur's, okay? On the right-hand side, Christian apologist David Wood confesses he raped girls prior to his conversion in shocking live stream. The man should not be allowed in the pulpit or anything to do with Christianity. While serving time for attempting to murder his father with a hammer on Thanksgiving Day, Christian apologist David Wood, known for a large platform, openly confessed during a recent live stream that he raped 2 girls ages 13 and 15 prior to his conversion. What conversion was that? That he didn't feel like doing it anymore. He described the acts in disturbing detail without seeming with any remorse. None. The 13-year-old, he added, flung herself at me, though he conceded it was still wrong. So once again, thank you, Michael Baldea, for pointing out these noxious people. Ohio pastor pleads guilty to grape. This is from Ministry Watch. George Bell, 73. Oh, he was caught. And we had no evidence that he was doing these things, but he was doing this for years. Crimes happened between 2021 and 2024, and it was gross on a minor younger than 10. So thank you, Ohio, for getting rid of this guy. Put him behind bars for 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah, let him die there. Lost and fired from church for inappropriate relationship with a woman, another MacArthurite. Okay, this is a little bit earlier from 2024, but the point is these Reformed guys are falling. And guess what? The charismatics are falling too. It's sickening. So why am I doing this? Because they're sowing seeds of chaos from the pulpits too. It's not just the politicians. It's also the pastors. They're many of them are just dead. Okay, this is Carl Lentz. Now, I don't know how to describe him. He's a Hillsong guy, but a condescending Carl Lentz criticizes the idea that a pastor should know the names of his congregants while making other bold statements. So let me get this straight. If your pastor doesn't know your name, what kind of life are you living where that is needed? Okay, and so that's Carl. Okay, and Carl had an affair, got caught, and so I said, if a pastor isn't praying for each congregant daily, he has no value to the kingdom. He's more interested in golfing. There's nothing against golfing. You can pray and golf, okay? But obviously he's not interested in his congregation or meeting them. And so one of these reformers got after me and said, chapter and verse on the assessment. Where does Christ or the apostles command that? Well, obviously, you're reading from Timothy and things like that. First of all, then, I counsel that petitions, prayers, and intercessions and thanksgivings be made for all human beings, including kings and all in the positions of prominence, so that we may lead quiet and peaceful lives, being godly and upright in everything. Well, there are other verses too. You have to pray for your congregation. If you're going to be the leader, you have to be held to a higher standard. So on the right-hand side, you can see Steve McCormick, Robert Morris, Liam Gallagher, Archbishop Stephen Wood of the Anglican Church, and Austin Beckton from the Anglican Church. Just horrible, horrible people, and they deserve to be kicked out. So obviously your politicians are trying to destabilize our country, but so are the pastors in many cases. Not all, But the megachurch pastors are having more problems because they are CEOs. Now, Mark Sharon is a pretty good guy, but he's saying that they're monetizing the sheep. They're not praying for the sheep. They might be PREY praying, okay, not AYING. The rise of the CEO pastor and the corporate mindset overtook the church a number of decades ago. Somewhere along the way, the church stopped asking what it means to be faithful and started asking what it means to be successful. And the shift changed absolutely everything when pastors became brand managers. Congregations turned into marketing consumers. And you're being marketed, okay? They've tracked your phone, and when you're walking into the wrong church, they send you a text message and say, "Come to our church," okay? Yeah, you're just marketing data. And the CEO pastor is not a scriptural figure. He or she is a product of industrialized, efficiency-driven culture that measures success by output scalability and visibility in a world where corporate metrics determine value. Once again, Mark Sharona, this is a while ago, but it's a good video, and it taught me something. Okay, so what's going on during the end times? The prophetic comments, okay? On the left-hand side, a comment from a person. Every time I turn around, another evangelical pastor, usually someone whose books I've read or whose sermons I've downloaded, has fallen. Last week, Tony Evans. This week, Robert Morris. Before that, Ravi Zacharias, James McDonald, Bill Hybels. My husband and I spend a lot of time over the years reading and studying these people's books. Maybe you shouldn't. Honestly, maybe you should just read the Bible. I don't know what to think or believe anymore. Can anyone provide a measure of wisdom to help me from despairing of my faith? Here's on the right-hand side, behold, I will send many fishers, saith the Lord, like my father, great man, and they shall fish them. And my father fished for people, okay? And after I will send many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of rocks, for mine eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes. Jeremiah 16:16 and 17. So I had a discussion with a pastor this week, and he admitted that he is an ASS. That's what we're dealing with today. Okay. Trump wins. U.S. assumes winning falls harder eventually. So now the prophetic side. You've got Wilkerson on the left-hand side saying the majority of churchgoers today soundly reject all prophetic warnings of a coming storm. Indeed, the American church today is the most blatant, feel-good church in all of history. Dmitry Duduman on the right-hand side and others have specific prophetic warnings about our days. The time is very close. As Dmitry Duduman said, it will start with a revolution started by the communists. David Wilkerson called it a civil war. There will also be a financial holocaust. Wilkerson did not want to use the word Holocaust to title his book America's Last Call on the brink of a financial holocaust because he felt it was inappropriate. God ordered him to use it because he said the word, it's his word, God's word, not Wilkerson's. The warnings of suitcase nukes from Michael Boldea, and I mentioned him before, so he's Hand of Help Ministries. He's a great guy. He's Dimitri's grandson and the translator. And other prophets going off in American cities would cause both a financial holocaust and a physical holocaust. Wilkerson said there would be mass graves using bulldozers because they will never be able to bury all the dead. My friend Don V created that slide, basically. He helped me with the quotes. Okay, so let's quote Duduman specifically. People will be fighting against the government. He said, remember this, Dmitry. The Russian spies have discovered where the nuclear warehouses are in America. When the Americans will think that it is peace and safety from the middle of the country, some of the people will start fighting against, I believe, the Trump's government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the ocean, from Cuba, Nicaragua, Mexico, he told me a few other countries, but I didn't remember, they will bomb the nuclear warehouses. But when they explode, America will burn. When America burns, that's like Revelation 18, the Lord will raise China, Japan, and some other nations to go against the Russians. They will beat the Russians and push them all the way to the gates of Paris. There's another reason for that too. That has to do with the magnetic poles shifting, and so Russia needs to go towards Paris because they'll freeze if they stay in Russia. They could survive in Paris. Okay, it's that bad. With the magnetic pole shift. Over there, they will make a treaty and appoint the Russians as their leaders, and they will unite against Israel. When Israel realizes she does not have the strength of America behind her, she will be frightened. That's when she will turn to the Messiah for deliverance. That's when the Messiah will come. Then the church will meet Jesus in the air, and he will bring them back with him to the Mount of Olives. At that time, the battle of Armageddon will be fought. Thank you, Dimitri and Michael Boldea, too, for that. So where are we at? We're in the birth pangs. We're not in the tribulation. We're not in the Great Tribulation. We're just waiting for the Civil War to start, or whatever you want to call it. And it is being fomented by the politicians, by our religious leaders, too. I mean, they're just as pathetic. So let me look through my notes here. Keep in mind, the United States is the last frontier of faith. There's no one coming to save us. Okay. And so, yeah, the church, and I mentioned all of those things. So, yeah, but I'm arguing that sedition is against God and the Torah, too, by the pastors. And, lawless pastors give you lawless conditions. So, you're getting married someday, and your family, hopefully, on a Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. What garments will you wear? It's a wedding. Don't be naked. Wear clean clothes. Be blessed. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for all of this time in your life. And I have 2 shows coming up this week. The first show on Tuesday evening will be with Benjamin Baruch. He's going to be advocating that war is coming, civil war. And then on the other side, it's going to be Alex Newman and Courtney Turner, and they'll be talking about all the weird things going on in the world. So both of them match up. So that's Tuesday and Wednesday, special week, Thanksgiving. 2 videos this week. God bless. Thank you for your time. Good night.